Hello YouTube and welcome to Random Asian Productions. You may notice this isn't a video game, this is me. I'm actually filming this because I wanted to tell you guys why I'm not filming. It's not because I'm lazy and not filming. It's actually because, first I'd like to say, yes, it's dusty in here. It's because I haven't cleaned it recently. I was due to clean it. Don't judge me too hard on the dust. Believe me, I have compressed air, I clean it all the time. I just happen to have not cleaned it for this video, because at this point I was just looking in here to see what's wrong with it. But basically it keeps turning itself off automatically. I thought it was overheating, so I had the case open and I was blowing this fan into it. It sits back there. My desk is messy, don't judge me. And yeah, so I was trying to cool it down because I thought the CPU down here was overheating because it's a little defective. It's got some problems. I'm due to replace it. But then I found that. See that? You can't see it too well because it kind of refuses to focus properly, but it's basically a melted plug. It's melting right there. Now, I knew this was happening, in a way, because my last plug I had in there melted completely into this socket. And because I didn't have the money to replace the motherboard or the power supply or the CPU, I basically just cleaned it out and stuck this one in there, and it worked. But now this one's starting to melt too, so obviously it is definitely a problem either with the power supply or this motherboard. Don't know which, but either way, I don't trust either of them right now. So, yeah. So basically, I'll leave autofocus on. Yeah, it doesn't help. Anyways, so basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over to this computer, which is not nearly as good as mine, but it does have a viable processor, which is hiding in this big thing, and a completely viable motherboard. It also has a power supply I can borrow. Now, this power supply is not going to be as effective as the one I had previously. It might not even be compatible with my motherboard. I have not even checked that yet. I haven't looked to see if it has all the plugs and connections and stuff. Hopefully, well, I guess it doesn't have to be compatible with that motherboard, does it? But this is a Dell computer, so you know how when you get computers like from prefab companies, a lot of times this is prefabbed, so it's got like cables specifically built for the computer, and it's not really designed like to be used multiple different ways. So I'm going to see if I can get it to work with my computer. But here's the problem. You can kind of, whoa, it's bright, but you can kind of see right there, 305 watts. Right there. Now, half of what mine. It's like barely, it's under half of what my current one does. So I might have to pull this guy out. Yeah, I might have to pull this one out because I think this draws a lot of juice. I mean, this is a pretty powerful card. So I might have to pull this card out and put my old one back in until I can replace the power supply. Because I can probably replace the power supply. I think I have enough money to buy a new power supply. I just don't have the money to buy the CPU and processor. Because what I want to do is I want to replace, because the CPU, the processor, and now the power supply, well, the power supply is already, all three of these need to be replaced. Because the motherboard's got a problem in that socket. The CPU overheated and has got some damage to it. And this is probably untrustworthy now because two of its cables have melted. So I don't trust any of these three pieces. So I have to replace all three. But that's a lot of money to replace all three out of the box. I don't have that kind of money. But I probably have enough money to buy a power supply. But I don't have enough money to buy a motherboard and a CPU. I might have enough money to buy the motherboard and the CPU, but not the power supply. Or such combinations. Because of that, I'm opting to try and steal these pieces to get this to work and then replace the power supply. Because I can run a better power supply through that motherboard until I fix this problem. So, hopefully this works. No idea what I'm doing, aside from I know that, you know, grounding, and I'm going to dust it out before I start putting anything out and anything, but it's going to be an interesting process, and I just wanted to put up this video to let you guys know this is why I'm not making any videos. If this works, I will hopefully be able to put up a couple videos. They may not be, unfortunately, I might not be able to play some of the same. I should be able to play all the games, actually, because I'm not playing any games that are too graphically intense. I was already playing most of those games on my old graphics card anyways. But I will probably have to take this one out. Maybe. I'm going to check the specs on this again and see how much power this pulls. if it pulls too much power, I'm just going to chuck it and, well, not chuck it. I mean, that doesn't sound right. I wasn't going to chuck it out, but I just need to replace it with my old graphics card, which is sitting yonder that way. So, that's what's up with me. Hopefully this works. If it doesn't, you won't hear from me for probably a while. I don't even know if I have a fan for that CPU. Oh well. Thanks for watching, guys. And any advice would be appreciated. Toodaloo.